During the counterculture movement in 1960s America, a mass migration of homosexuals settled on the West Coast. San Francisco, in particular, became a hub for the gay rights movement in the United States.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Harvey Milk was one of the main leaders in this movement. In 1976, Milk, a gay man, was appointed to the Board of Appeals by Mayor George Moscone, making Milk the first openly gay city commissioner in United States history. Mayor Moscone also appointed Charles Gain to be the chief of the San Francisco Police Department. Upon request of the mayor, Gain made it clear that openly gay police officers would be accepted in the San Francisco Police Department. Milk spent 5 weeks on the Board of Permanent Appeals before Moscone was forced to fire him when he announced he would run for the California State Assembly. Though Milk lost the race for state assembly, he remained an activist in the gay rights movement. Milk was able to unite the gay community in San Francisco through his charismatic speaking and his civil mobilization skills. He organized protests and marches and represented hope and change for the homosexual community. But it all came crashing down on a fateful day in November 1978.
Code 3, room 200. I'm in the mayor's office.
301, 1023 for 1 moment. We're trying to ascertain what is happening. Room 237, please, quick.
An ambulance over here. Get an ambulance. A unit over here. Get another ambulance over here. Will you?
Homicide here.
I'll go over there so I can go. Okay.
Yeah, where are the victims going?
I don't know if they're going anywhere. It's supposed to, Harvey Milk and the mayor is supposed to be DOA.
As president of the board, as president of the board of supervisors, it's my duty to make this announcement. Both Mayor Moscone and Supervisor Harvey Milk have been shot and killed.
The gay rights movement, however, had been going on for much longer than many people realized. During the 20th century, homosexuals were legally and socially discriminated against. In 1924, Henry Gerber founded the first homosexual rights organization in the United States, the Society for Human Rights. Founded in Chicago, the group only existed for a few months before being disbanded under the threats of police. Later, in 1928, The Well of Loneliness by Radcliffe Hall was published in the United Kingdom. The novel brought the topic of homosexuality to public conversation from both a legal and social standpoint. Social movements began in the 1930s with clubs like Mona's 440, the first lesbian bar in America. It opened in 1936 in San Francisco, and waitresses and performers wore tuxedos to portray themselves in their new roles. The latter, one of the first lesbian publications in North America, was published in Los Angeles in 1947. Controversy followed over what people should and should not be allowed to print. This struggle continued until 1958, when the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the First Amendment, allowing gay and lesbian magazines in the United States. Throughout the 1950s and 60s, the FBI and local police departments kept files on known gay activists, and the United States Postal Service kept track of addresses that received materials pertaining to homosexuality. Discrimination led to the rise of gay rights groups during the 1900s. The Madison Society, the first national gay rights organization, was formed by Harry Hay in 1951. The primary goals of the society were to unify homosexuals isolated from their own kind, educate homosexuals and heterosexuals toward an ethical homosexual culture, and to lead the more socially conscious homosexual to provide leadership to the whole mass of social variants. The society helped influence the gay rights movement throughout the United States. They significantly influenced the American Law Institute, who suggested that homosexual intercourse should not be a felony. This idea was adopted by Illinois in 1961 and later in Connecticut in 1969. Throughout this time period, the gay rights movement was still small and easily quelled by police intervention. State and local governments passed laws that shut down bars catering to homosexuals and performed sweeps to rid neighborhoods and local hangouts of gay men and women. The Black Cat Tavern in Los Angeles was raided on New Year's Day by 12 police officers not in uniform. They beat and arrested employees and patrons, prompting a series of protests. In 1969, at the Stonewall Gay Bar in New York's Greenwich Village, protests began after police raided the bar and attempted to shut it down. In response, the patrons of the bar violently protested for 3 days and eventually burned down the bar. The protests are considered by many to be one of the most important events leading into the gay rights movement that still exists today.
Take it all out on your stride. It is kicking, falling down. Love forever, love is free. Let's turn forever, you and me. Windmill, windmill for the land.
Yes, John, if you can see the bouquets of flowers and the candles at the door of the Ramrod Bar, they're really symbols of the mourning, the feeling of mourning for the 2 dead and the others who've been shot down here on West Street, as are these little pieces of black armbands that are being handed out to various people in the area, and many of them are wearing it. And while there is a feeling of mourning, there's also a lot of anger as people seem to be assembling at various other points for a number of demonstrations that have been scheduled, because many of the people here see it not just as an attack on the individuals that happen to be here, but as an attack on the gay community.
During this time, gay leaders began to become more prominent and well-known throughout the country. Harvey Milk, a New York native, moved to San Francisco in 1972 and quickly began to make his mark on the movement. He gained popularity through his energetic speeches in favor of gay rights, and he decided that in order for gays to truly gain rights, the boundary into politics had to be broken. In 1973, he ran for city supervisor of San Francisco, but as an inexperienced and underfunded politician, he lost the election. By 1977, Milk was well known in San Francisco as a gay rights activist and was finally elected to the San Francisco City County Board. He became one of the first openly gay officials elected into office in the United States. Sadly, Milk served less than a year on the council before he was killed. On November 27, 1978, Harvey Milk was assassinated along with Mayor George Moscone by Dan White. White had resigned 2 weeks earlier, claiming his salary was not enough to support his family. Within days, White requested to be reinstated to his position on the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, but Moscone denied his request. Harvey Milk's political career centered on making government more responsive to individuals and gay liberation. Milk emphasized that gay people should be more visible to help end the discrimination and violence against them. 2 years later, in 1980, an openly gay man, Mel Boozer, was a candidate for vice president. In 1981, the World Health Organization removed homosexuality from its list of mental illnesses. Throughout the 1980s, the issue of homosexuality became more and more prominent in American society. HIV and AIDS began to be seen on a national scale as well, especially after Rock Hudson, a well-known actor, passed away due to AIDS in 1985. In 1991, Magic Johnson held a press conference announcing that he had HIV. This was an indirect but significant step towards the acceptance of homosexuals in America. Many Americans saw HIV as a disease that only gays had, but with the announcement that Magic Johnson, a role model for many young people across the country, had HIV, the perception of the disease no longer pertained to homosexuality. In 1986, the Supreme Court upheld the right of states to criminalize sodomy in Georgia. 17 years later, in 2003, the same court overturned this ruling with an apology in Lawrence v. Texas. In October of that same year, Denmark became the first country to recognize same-sex partnerships. Don't Ask, Don't Tell was issued in 1993 under Bill Clinton. It prohibited military personnel from discriminating against or harassing closeted homosexual or bisexual service members or applicants, while barring openly gay, lesbian, or bisexual persons from military service.
Won't you let me know if you love me? Won't you let me know?
This policy lasted until September 2011, when President Obama signed the Don't Ask, Don't Tell Repeal Act, allowing openly gay people to serve in the armed forces. Other significant political changes have taken place since the assassination of Harvey Milk, and it is difficult to say that any of it would have happened without his actions. In 2003, the state of Massachusetts legalized gay marriage, becoming the first of many states to do so. Connecticut followed and legalized gay marriage in 2008. Today, 19 states grant the right to gay marriage, something that was unheard of during the time of Harvey Milk. But it hasn't solely been laws and court cases shaping the gay rights movement. Individuals are changing social norms and breaking barriers, leading to a new era in not only gay rights but human rights. In a field dominated by masculinity, athletes have begun to step out and openly become gay in their sports. Basketball player Jason Collins was the first openly gay player in the NBA, coming out in 2013. Michael Sam made history just this year, being the first openly gay player drafted into the NFL. He came out following the completion of his college career and has received tremendous support not only from his friends and family, but from football fans and gay rights activists everywhere. Sam is an example of what Milk was working towards, having gays not only be socially accepted, but respected and to become leaders in their fields. This is happening today, all around us, thanks to the passion and dedication of Harvey Milk. As an activist in his own community, Milk was one of the fathers of the gay rights movement. He inspired his community to change and to be more accepting. After his death, the movement only grew stronger.
This is to be played only in the event of my death by assassination. I have never considered myself a candidate. I have always considered myself part of a movement, part of a candidacy. I consider the movement the candidate. There are things that I wish I had time to explain. Everything I did, almost everything was done in the eyes of the gay movement. Obviously, there's no shit happened if there is an assassination, and there is cannot prevent some people from getting angry and frustrated and mad, but I hope that anger and frustration and madness instead of demonstrating or anything of that type. I would hope they take it to politics, and I would hope 5, 10, 100,000 would rise. I'd love to see every gay doctor come out. I'd love to see every gay lawyer, every gay judge, every gay bureaucrat, every gay architect come out, stand up and let the world know that would do more to end prejudice overnight than anybody could ever imagine. I urge them to do that. I urge them to come out. Only that way we start to achieve our rights. I ask for a movement to continue, for a movement to grow, because last week I got that phone call from Altoona, Pennsylvania. In my election, gave somebody else, one more person, hope. And after all, that's what it's about. Not about personal gain, not about ego, not about power. It's about giving those young people out there, now to the Pennsylvania, hope. Gotta give them hope.